Well, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to do a little video in our story series. We're going to talk about snakes. This is snake stories. If you haven't saw the other story series, we'll leave a playlist in the description. Snake. See, I'm doing the same thing. Okay, so we have a little list of snake stories. There's quite a few different stories with us, like different times where we've seen snakes, been involved with snakes. There's probably too many to count, but I put some of the more noteworthy experiences on my list to talk about in this video. So probably one of the most memorable stories for me, which is funny because it's kind of, I have a very interesting point of view. I'll tell you mine and then we'll get Corey's, because Corey was more of kind of at the scene of the snake situation. Snake situation, triple S. One day, I don't know, I guess it was in the evening time and I was ready to take a shower. So I hop in the shower, soap up, and the water goes off. And I'm like, that's weird. Maybe I bumped the faucet. Check the faucet. I didn't bump the faucet. I have no water and I'm covered in soap. So I start yelling out the bathroom door, hey, something's going on in here. I don't have enough water to finish rinsing off in the shower. And I heard Dad say, okay, I'm going to go downstairs. He had just got home from work. I just walked in the door. And when you said that, Mom tried to turn on the faucet and no water come out. And he had taken 2 steps in the door and was like, okay, here we go. I have to work after I get off work. So that's kind of interesting, that point of the story. So Corey's outside of the bathroom and she's like, Mom don't have no water anyway. And it's great time. And Dad walked home into a mess that he can fix. So I heard him say, I'm going to go downstairs and check the breaker or the hot water heater or whatever. So he goes down there. I hear the basement door open because I'm just standing in there waiting, and I hear no. Oh no. That's what I hear, and I'm like, well, I never heard him go down the steps, and I'm like, what's going on? And then I start hearing him. He's at the bathroom door. He's like, Katie, where's that little 410 I give you? And I'm like, it's in my closet. And he says, Katie, where's that little 410 I give you? I'm like, it's in my closet. So I'm trying to yell through the door at him, trying to get him to hear what I'm saying. And he finally, I think he hears he's picking up what I'm putting down. And at this point, I'm like panicking. I'm like, there's no water. And now my dad's asking me, where's this gun that he's giving me at? And I'm like wanting to know what's going on. So I'm wrapping myself up in a towel and I jump out of that bathtub and I open the door and out I come in my bath towel trying to figure out, I'm kind of alarmed. And I come out just in time for him to say, hold your ears. And he opens the basement door and shoulders that gun. And I'm holding my towel like this and trying to hold my ears. And he shoots inside the house down the basement steps. And I'm like, what is going on? And before we get, I just want to say, before we get a bunch of comments like, you shouldn't do that, that's really not safe, this is a really, because I know we'll get those comments. That's just what we did. That's just what was happening, and that is no more dangerous, I don't think, than trying to like go downstairs and wrangle the snake. And to be clear, this was it was in the basement, so in a concrete basement, no one was down there. And also, like, not to brag, but our dad is like a perfect shot. He has shot guns and done all that stuff since he was this big. So yeah. Just saying, I know we're going to get some comments like, how could you do that? And I'll also say, y'all, we live in the country and we don't call for help. We fix our own situations. I'm not going to call somebody to come help me exorcise the snake from my basement. I'm grown. I can fix this myself. And if I hadn't been in a bath towel, I'd have wrangled it myself. So I'm very capable. My dad's very capable. We can do this. So, of course, and also a 410 is incredibly safe because it's a very small... It's, you know, so it's not a big deal. So he hits that mark just like that, not a problem. And then once the dust settles and all of that, I figure out what was going on. He opened the door to go downstairs to check the water, and that snake was on its way upstairs. He met it on the way up. And it was just kind of slowly coming up, and he wanted to get that thing killed because he didn't want it upstairs. He didn't want it under the door. He didn't want to have to get next to it. It was actually pretty good sized snake from what I remember. It was probably about that big around. Yeah. Snake. So it was dead. I mean, stone cold dead. And there wasn't anything anywhere else. He did a fine job. So he takes the snake out, and we realize that the water pump, we need a piece for the pump. So I go with him to Lowe's. What's the thing? It's like the box. The switch. Yeah, it's the switch. It's actually got burned out. So I go with him to Lowe's. We get the part. We fix it. Shower's fixed. Everybody has water. Everybody's happy. It took me 2 days to scrub that dried soap off. I'm not lying. It dried on me good. I smell like a bar of soap going through Lowe's. So that's kind of the one of my more memorable snake stories because of, like, I just didn't know what was going on. And it was funny, like, I felt really bad for Dad because, like, as soon as he walked through the door, you could tell he was, like, really tired and he had had a hard day. And I'm like, I'm really sorry, Dad, but the water's off. So when he walked into the basement, he literally just come straight in the door and just had to go straight kind of through the foyer down to the basement. And it was funny because I was standing just like this and he just was coming down the stairs. And he went down the stairs and in one motion he was like down the stairs and then back up.
He wasn't
and
even hardly
the door
down. He was like one step maybe on that first step.
And he slammed the door and was like saying no, 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 and I'm like, you know, what's going on? And yeah, and then Katie was like right there in the bathroom all soaked up, and I'm like, can I help you? Is there anything I can do? And then Dad's like saying, where's the 410? You know, all that.
It's just stressful.
So
I was trying to get out of the shower so I could be like, hey, Dad, it's in the closet since you can't hear me. It was a very interesting situation.
Yeah, it was interesting.
But it's okay because we got it taken care of. And everyone's going to say, how'd the snake get in your basement? They come under, it's possible, and it's not happened much, but it's possible that they can come under the garage door.
Yeah, there's only like this much, but that's all they need to get in.
So speaking of snakes in the basement, our next story involves a snake in the basement. One morning I don't know how I ever saw it. By the way, if you know me, my family will tell you, I have snake and spider senses. When there's one around, I know. I can sense it. I can feel it. And I can pick them out. So I was in the basement working. I was in the wood, so the snake was above the wood stove, and there was no fire in the wood stove, so it's not like I was going to go over there and get warm. I was just over there working, and I don't know, I just walked over to the wood stove and just happened to look up. And on a ledge that's about this wide, and he wasn't big, there was a corn snake, and he was stretched out across the block. We have a cement concrete block basement. He was stretched out across the block up there above the stove, just chilling. And I was like, no, you know, I can't let you stay up here and then just wander around with me down here. I don't like that. You know, I didn't want unsupervised time. He was probably about this long. He was skinny and probably about this long. And I was like, I don't want him down here with me and me not knowing where he is. So then it become the game of me trying to
get him off the
wall. And so Corey's like, comes downstairs and she's like,
that was another situation that I just kind of walked straight into. I come over here one morning for something, and yeah, and this was not that long ago. This was just back this fall.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, you know, walked in. I just hear Kay saying, we got a situation. I'm like, okay, what's going on? And it's like, okay.
He was just chilling up there. But snakes, if you've ever spent any time around snakes, you know they're wicked fast. And all I could think about was him coming down that wall. And eventually he did. I had a flashlight and I was thinking maybe that'll mess with him and he'll come out because I was going to try to catch him alive. I was like, I'm not going to kill him. He's not aggressing me. He's not doing anything. So I was going to try to catch him. And I saw him and I thought he had this look on his face and I thought that he was going to head down the wall. And so I turned around to go get the hoe that I had and I thought I was going to kind of coax him. And by the time I turned around, there he was. I don't know if he come down the wall or if he fell off the wall. But when I turned around, he was down there with me. And it was scary. Scary that he snuck up on me like that. I turned around, I'm like, oh my Lord, you weren't even on the wall, you were on the ceiling, and there he was down there with me. So it does happen occasionally. There's been other instances where snakes have come in the basement.
And also, I just want to say before we get comments like, oh, you shouldn't be, you know, killing these snakes. We have saved as many as we have killed, and that is the truth. We have went above and beyond. But in some situations where they're in your house like that, are you going to like put on big gloves and wrangle them and try not to get bit? I just don't want a bunch of comments saying, oh, you shouldn't be doing.
Yeah,
we have definitely saved as many as
and I save spiders and I save all kinds of stuff.
We pretty much try to save literally everything that we can if it's feasible.
If
but
it's
we can't put our lives in danger.
No, like the time the snake come up the steps. That wasn't feasible.
No. And it was really big, again.
It was huge.
And a black snake's not going to kill you, but I'm sure if it bit you, it'd make you very sick. They're nasty.
And I didn't want it in my house. That's kind of like too close to home. Sorry.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we definitely try to save them. And I have saved many of them. And I have saved...
And we'll continue to if we can.
I've even saved, like, flying bugs from the web of a spider. And the spider didn't get to eat, but that bug survived. I've done a whole lot of that. There is, before we move on from the basement, there's one funny, I'll let Corey tell that, there's one funny thing about a snake in the basement. One time we were practicing playing music in the basement. It was in the summer and it was hot. The basement was cool. We're playing music and I'll set Corey up here and let her explain the rest. We're just playing along.
Yeah, and I was facing, everybody else had their back kind of to the garage door, and I had my back to the wall so I could see the garage door.
Yeah, and we're all playing, having a good time, and Corey stops playing, This is the neck of her guitar. Stands up, picks her guitar up and goes,
and that was like all I could think of to do, because I was so focused, because I think we were playing a song that was hard, and I was really focused on that song, and I kept seeing like movement. I couldn't see, there was like a lot of stuff in my way of seeing the garage door open, and I kept looking, and I'm like, what am I seeing over there? And then it became like very apparent that's a really big black snake, and I just had too much going on in my brain at once, like trying to play this song and do that all I could think of to do was just like stand up and point, and then everyone looked and was like, what is she pointing at?
She never said a word. She just stood up and went, and that's how she did it. She went, and still didn't say anything. And then Uncle Paul jumped up and running out with a hoe. And I've never seen a snake go faster than that one. It was out of there.
It didn't want in there for sure.
It was actually very large too. We get huge black snakes and king snakes around here, and we try to watch out for them and kind of keep them run off because of our chickens. But snakes in the basement, and we shall move on to
Snakes Outside.
Snakes Outside. So the first installment in Snakes Outside is Snakes and Sandals.
Yeah.
Corey, go.
I don't really remember this very much. I just have a very vague memory, but our cousin had give us a pair of green sandals. I do remember the green sandals, and on the deck, which is just right out here at my parents' house here, we used to have block steps, just center blocks, and I remember bending down, like seeing my little hand to get this pair of sandals, and then I remember Katie was right beside me, and we couldn't have been maybe any more than 5 or 6. I remember like Katie beside me kind of jerked my hand back and kind of pointed, and there was a snake there, and we were kind of too young to know what that was, but like we also knew that something was up, and I guess we went and got our dad or whoever, and told him, and then Dad did come out there, and that made him so mad because it was a copperhead, and you know it was like coiled up ready to strike, and if that had bit me being that young, like it probably would have killed me. And that made him so mad, and then he went and got his pistol because he wanted to kill that copperhead, and then it went down in the blocks by the house, and he dug a hole. He pulled the blocks out of the way and dug a hole until he got to that snake. So
yeah, he wanted to make that snake disappear. That's one of my earliest childhood memories. I can still see it. There was a sunspot. There was sun shining next to those center blocks, and that snake was just curled right up next to the sandals and the center blocks. And he was pretty good size, and there he was just sunning. And I do remember thinking, like, something's off. Something's just not... I don't exactly know that I knew that was a poisonous snake. I highly doubt that. I just thought, I don't know. I don't like that. And I do remember pulling your hand back.
And I never remember seeing the snake. I just saw the sandals, and then, like, you pulling me away, and I'm like, what's going on?
I can still see it. It was coiled up good. And it was one of them big... It was short. It wasn't that long, but it was fat. So,
yeah.
Saved your life there.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, really. I mean, it's scary if you think about it. I have 2 other really quick snake outside stories. Back during COVID, we did a lot of gardening outside. We do a lot of gardening anyway. And there was a little snake. They're what they call, I think, smooth earth snakes. And they're just this, like, beautiful brown color. And he was about the size of a shoelace. And I don't really know what made me do it. Because that's the other thing. Like, we're not afraid of snakes really at all. Now, I know they're poisonous. I don't want to go catching them.
It's a respect thing.
Yeah, but they're not one of those things that I look at that really creeps me out. Spiders are more like that for me. But a lot of people are like, oh, snakes, I can't do them. Does not bother me at all. I think they're actually like very beautiful. And I kind of like to see them if they're just out in their own habitat. But anyways, he was just a little bitty, and I picked him up. And he curled around my finger, and he was pretty cute. And another story, I was thinking about this last night. I don't know if you remember this, but there's a lot of just little pine trees on the bank here at Mom and Dad's house, and we're going to try to have them cut soon, because if not, pines grow really fast, and it just gets into a mess.
20 years, it'll be a forest.
Yep, and I remember being out there with a sawzall one time. We were cutting a bunch of them, and I was cutting one that was... only like that big around, and it was only probably like 10 feet tall, so sawzall was fine to do it. And I remember cutting it, and at some point I became aware that there was this snake coming down the tree towards the blade. And I just looked at it and thought, okay, and just kept going. And it took my brain like a couple of seconds to catch up and say, this is not good. I need to get out of here. So like the blade pinched in the tree, and I just like, once my brain caught up to that, I was out. And I don't remember what kind of snake it was. It was probably some kind of corn snake. It was definitely had brown on it, and that's really all I remember.
That's funny. I forgot all about that. I heard Corey say, nope. I'm out. And then she just was like, run down the bank, and I was like, what's going on? She's like, a little snake come down this tree while I was trying to cut it.
You know, not real big. But
I forgot about that. There's been a lot of funny instances like that. Just like little, not big snakes, but little snakes in places that you don't expect them.
Just random.
Like outside, you see them, you run across them. I used to when I used to ride my bike a lot in the yard, occasionally I would see some like in the flower beds. And they were small. Again, they were not big. They weren't of any concern. But it made me think about the next installment is the time I picked up a snake by accident. Pretty close, all in this very close same area, in the same 100 yards that we're talking about. We've had all these snake situations, so there may just be a lot of snakes where we're at. I kind of think there is. I could pretty much almost see our house from where I was. I was down at the creek, and I was like, man, there's a lot of brush and a lot of trees, just old debris that kind of falls in the trail that I have cleared so I can get to the creek easily. And I was like, I think I'm going to pick some of that up. So I just went and started picking up sticks, and just kind of clearing brush and all that kind of stuff. And I kind of got up on this. It's not really a hill, it's smaller than that, just a little bit of a high place. And I was just picking sticks up, and I picked up a handful, and it was hot, this was the summer. I picked up a handful, and when I picked it up, I thought, something's not right about this. And I was like, sticks don't move, do they? And there was something moving in that bundle of sticks. And about the time I thought, I had gloves on, actually. I threw that pile of sticks, and I slung it, and there that snake went. I saw him in the middle of the sticks, just end over end through the air, because I just flung as hard as I could, and he landed. And I thought, oh my Lord, there was a snake in that bundle of sticks and leaves, and I never even saw it, and I picked it up, and where I thought I saw it land, I run over there to look at it, because I thought, well, what kind of snake have I picked up? And it was a copperhead. There was no doubt about it. It was that pattern, and that's why I never saw it, because it was down in those sticks and those leaves, and I'm like,
man, if that would have bit you.
His body, I could feel him writhing in my hands, and like I said, it's a good thing I had fast instincts, because I slung him, and it was over for me. I went home, I sat down for the rest of the day. It I'm not gonna lie, it kind of spooked me out. I was like, I cannot believe I literally picked him up and never saw him.
Yeah, if he would have bit you, you would have been in
I would have been in trouble. I don't think that he would have killed me, but they are nasty. They make you sick. They can give you other issues.
They can make you bad sick, for sure.
Right. So it was just, it was an honest, earnest mistake. I never saw the snake. It could be a lesson in trying to be more careful, but I'm usually pretty wary. I think what it was is he was kind of down under a little bit of the sticks and leaves, because it's not like I had a huge handful. It was probably like, And then later on, this should have been my sign. I can't remember if this was before that or after that. I was not very far from there, and I was doing the same sort of thing. I'm like, I can't believe these trails get so covered up. And that day, I got into a bee's nest, and I got stung right here by one of those black hornets. I had a headache for 2 weeks. God, it hurt so bad. And then, last year, I got stung on the arm by a hornet. And that was also, my arm welded up real big, stayed like that for about 2 weeks. It's just horrible. It's just this general area this way out here is dangerous for me. So, just an accident. I was okay, though. And I'm very, very cautious and careful these days.
Yeah. We had a dog, the little dog we had for years named Ruby. She got bit twice on the face by a copperhead. And she lived. But her little face swelled up twice the size of what it was, and it was very scary, but we got her to the vet in time, and she was fine.
Dogs are usually pretty tough. It'll make them real sick, but they can usually beat it.
Yeah.
Depends on where they've been bit and what it is and all that kind of stuff, but what is it?
I was going to say the last little story. Is this the last one?
Snakes in water.
This is my all-time favorite story of a snake.
Go for it.
So, let's see, it's been maybe a year ago. We were up by the pond, and if you've seen our videos, you've probably seen the pond. It's just a beautiful.
Maybe it has.
It was the last time. When it was hot, was it, you think, last summer, or was that this summer? Well, I guess it's coming up on a year, because it was last summer.
Yeah, coming up on a year.
And we were walking by the pond, and we kind of walked around the side of it, and we were like, what's that in the water? And we got close, and it was a snake, but it was standing up, you could just see this much of it just straight up in the water, and it was just kind of bobbing like that.
It was just going with the flow.
And it was hilarious. If we find we have the footage, we can put it in here for you to see. And then all of a sudden it moves like that, and I screamed like a little girl.
And then it swam off. It's really interesting to see snakes in water, because that's when you really get an appreciation for how agile they are and how fast they are. When we were kids, if we saw a snake in the creek, that was kind of the rule. We had to get out. Occasionally we did. again, these snakes weren't large, and the snake we saw in the pond was not large.
Just that, I just never forget that. Him just standing, you'd see that white belly, and he just standing in there, like, hanging out.
Just like, I'm like, that's
so
weird.
funny.
Yeah, I'm like, what are you doing? I wish, I actually may have this on video somewhere. It's possible, and if not, then I don't. But Nick and I last summer were fishing, and we were actually doing pretty good. And Nick had caught a fish, and we were going to keep them and eat them. A lot of the times, if we catch, where we fish at is only about 20 or so minutes from his house, and if we catch them, we'll catch enough to eat. We'll go straight back home, and we'll cook them. So Nick had caught a fish, and he, we just kill him right then and there. We're not gonna, if I'm gonna eat them, I'm not gonna let these fish suffer. I'm just gonna knock them out right there. I don't want them to suffocate to death. So we kill the fish, gut the fish, and he's down on a rock scaling this fish. And we're probably, you know, we're gonna leave and go eat these fish we got. And I'm just lucky I looked, because I was fishing on the other side of him, and I come back over there and I was watching him scale it, because I was thinking, I want to learn how to do this, that I'll be able to do this. And he was squatted down, bent down, and about the time I looked, here come this snake. And he slithered right between Nick's legs, and he was after that fish that we had, that the fish guts that were sitting there, and he was scaling that fish, and I just didn't know what to do. I was like, Nick, don't move. Nick, do not move. Of course, Nick moved, and when he looked down and he saw that fish, or saw the snake after the fish, he was fast. He lit out of there. He must have jumped 5 feet in the air, and he lit out of there, and he was like, oh my gosh. And I don't exactly know what kind of snake it was. It had a pattern on it. And it wasn't very small. This wasn't one of the small ones. And this snake was actually aggressive. It chased us off the little point that we were on, and then it proceeded to sit there and eat those fish guts. And it kind of like unhinged its jaw and like got on what it could, and then it just sat there and shook and writhed, trying to get it to pass down its whatever you call that. And it did eventually, and it eventually left, but it actually licked the rock. I watched it. It licked the rock to get the fish scales, and it was really creepy. When it was time to leave, I was like, look, I'm done. My nerves are shot. I can't even enjoy this fishing experience because of this. We had to walk out of where we are. It's like rocks, and some of them are this big. They're huge, and it's just really rocky. And so you have to go slower. You'll turn your ankle. And we're just kind of slowly making our way out of there, and what do we see? Another snake. And this one's black, and it's just kind of sucked down in those rocks, because in the summer they hold a lot of heat, and that probably felt really good for it. And it was just kind of, and I was like, Nick, please tell me that you see this too. This is 2 snakes that we've seen. At a later date, we were fishing right up next to the dam there at the river. And the same look, it's possible that it was the same snake. The same pattern looking snake one showed up, and it got in the water, and it got pretty close to us. I don't think it was that one wasn't after us that day, but it was swimming. I could see it swimming, and the water was lapping, and it was just kind of same kind of thing. And it had its head above water, and it was looking for something to eat. That's, you know, so those snakes in water, you got to be careful, because they can move like extra creepy fast in the water. So snakes, we're lucky. We've had some close calls. We really have, but we've done pretty well. I have caught quite a few snakes, small snakes, and let them loose.
Yeah, I forgot there was one night. I come out of the bathroom in the hallway here at night, and it was dark, and I come out, and it took me a minute for my eyes to adjust. And Katie had been working late in the basement, and she comes up the stairs, and I'm like, what do you got there in your hand like that? She had like a
rag
and her tweezers, and there was a snake in it. And I'm like,
I'd caught the snake with the tweezers.
Why is this upstairs? But I guess you didn't want to open the garage door because you'd wake Mom and Dad up, so then we took it outside.
We did, and it had cooled itself down the tweezers and down around the rest of my hand. And I was kind of in a hurry. I was like,
let's get this thing off.
Yeah, I'm about to lose my patience. I'm like, I didn't mind to let you out, but you start touching me, and I'm going to have to kill you. Because I don't like that, because they're nasty. I don't even want to touch them. They carry diseases. I have this paranoia that like one part of their belly will touch me. I will accidentally touch my eye, and then I'll die. So anyway, that has been our snake story session of our story series. What do you think?
Yeah. Like we said, we'll leave the link in the description if you want to check out some of the other ones, and be on the lookout for another story session coming soon.
And without further ado,
God bless you. God keep you.
We'll catch you at the next one.